Take two. Indeed, what it is within us that we want to be right, that worldliness that takes a hold of us, that clings to us, that selfish ambition that we want to be on top. There's no way we want to be second or lower. And so this feeling, this urge to be right makes us speak out and causes quarrels and fights among us. As we cling to selfish ambition, however, wisdom clings to the cross. In fact, you might say wisdom was nailed to the cross. Because wisdom isn't about taking a stance above another. Wisdom is about being raised above. Raised in humility. Raised in submission. Submitting one's self to God's will. And being drawn near. Drawn near to the Father, but also to draw near one another in our relationship that we have. And indeed, that's what Christ did for us. As that wisdom became humbled, took on our form, took on our skin and bones, and experienced our pain and agony. He experienced the pain of the nails on the cross. He experienced the agony of people abandoning him, especially when he cried out, my God, why have you forsaken me?" That was his submission to the will of the Father. For he knew he had to be on that cross. And in so doing, he drew you and me nearer to the Father through his death and his ultimate resurrection. Wisdom then was received when it was no longer looking for one's own benefit. Christ did not look for it in his own benefit, but for you and for me, that we might live in relationship with him and with the Father, not only now, but through eternity. And wisdom that Jesus knows, that wisdom that Jesus is, that wisdom that Jesus expresses, is gained when it's given away. And that's how it should be in our life. That finally, wisdom is connected to humility. And as we are humble, we submit ourselves to the will of the Father so that the Father can draw others near to him through the wisdom that we speak, that he has placed in us through the Word and through our baptism and through the reception of Jesus' body and blood through Holy Communion. But this wisdom doesn't stay within ourselves. The wisdom reveals itself in our action. It binds itself to peaceable behavior, humility. It builds up harmonious generosity, where we give for the sake of one another, not for what it gets for us, but so that we can give Jesus to others and connect them to knowing who Jesus is and what he has done for them. And finally, it brings about compassion for a genuine goodness. A genuine goodness that flows out of us because Christ has been placed in us, but also a genuine goodness where we do those things for another so that they might see Christ. It enables us to value patience. It enables us to adhere to the truth of God's Word. And as we value patience, being patient with those that cause us to want to scream sometime, as we adhere to the truth of God's Word, you and I are going to be willing to endure for the sake of another. Christ. He's the wisdom that is connected to humility. And as that wisdom is placed in you and I, in you and me, and as it is connected to humility in us, we are going to be willing to endure for the sake of the gospel, for the sake of Christ, for the sake of the kingdom, and for the sake of another. Now that's take two.